Hello, everybody. We are live. It is Tuesday. As usual, Kayla McDonald, Remax Alliance Group, and Miss Lindsay Weber with Keystone Mortgage Solutions.
Hello. Happy Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday. And today we have Kim Fizer on with United Insurance Associates. So thank you for joining us today.
Hi, you're welcome. Thank you for the invite.
We've been after you, I think, for like a year to try and get you like. I think it was at least
time flies when we're having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I think the last time I asked you, it had to be at least a year ago. And you just you were just so crazy busy. We couldn't get you, pinned down for like 30 minutes to step away because you are so busy and everybody loves you. And yeah, so you want to tell us who you are, who you work for, and just how you got started in insurance.
Yeah, I'm Kimberly Fizer. I am with United Insurance Associates. I've been in insurance for just over 8 years. I was in home care prior to that, home care management, and left that and ended up in the world of insurance and been excited about it and happy to help others ever since.
You've actually come out to like properties for some of our clients to look at things, or I know that I've called you before and said, hey, can you look at this property? Like, what do we need to do to make this insurable? And I feel like a lot of people, I don't know a lot of insurance agents, one, that will do that. And have the capability to do it, or just,
I've never heard of anybody doing that from the insurance world, unless you're in trouble. Yes, then they want to come and see.
Yeah, it's really important because, as Kayla can tell you, I'll walk around the entire property and I'll notice things that no one else will notice because they don't know what they're for.
Right.
And those things can hinder the homeowner getting insurance.
Right.
Yeah. And as you know, Lindsay, it can be, by the time we get to the point of insurance, we've already paid for an inspection. Sometimes we've already even paid for an appraisal.
One of the last things that we're really, really doing in the transaction, although we might have like a quote or, something to kind of get us started, but the real binding of the policy and, putting mortgagee clauses and paying for it and all of that happens at the end of the transaction. Just,
yeah.
Kim, you've educated me a lot, in the insurance world, and just like with anything, like in real estate, it's ever changing.
Yes.
and it changes quickly. So how would you, I guess, compare not the real estate, the insurance world, from when you first got in to now? Like, how much has it changed?
100%. It is a completely different monster within itself now. Carriers have changed their roofing requirements. We used to be able to get insurance on a roof that had 3 years remaining useful life. Now we can't. It has to have 5. The only carrier out there that will take a roof that is damaged and needs repair or replaced is Citizens. And that has to be done with a roofing contract. And the roof has to be replaced within 60 days of closing.
Okay. Roofs are a big thing. And,
yes.
And I feel like, not that they weren't always, but with the cost of them, and now with insurance requirements and restrictions, it is a very, very big thing. And, I'm sure you see it all the time. I see it all the time, with people selling, houses with roofs that are 20 years old and 23 years old and saying, oh, no, it's fine. It passes. There's no leaks or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but when you get to that age, I don't think any roofer or any inspector is going to give it that years left of life, unless it's like a metal or a tile roof, because those are meant to last like 50 years. So it is a very, very big thing. And is it Citizens is the only one you said that will accept a roof that needs to be replaced or that is damaged? to be done within
Yes,
60
they will
days,
take,
right?
correct. They'll take a roofing contract. The roofing contract has to show that the roof will be done within 60 days of closing.
Okay. Are the other carriers that are in Florida, are they starting to follow suit with like how Citizens is, I guess, running their insurance company, or with their regulations? Are they kind of all banding together for the most part, or are they still all kind of all over the place, step different?
They're still kind of all over the place. Citizens is the most lenient of all the carriers. When it comes to like the water heater age, they don't care what age the water heater is. They don't care about the electrical box. You know, they'll accept a Challenger, a Zingsco. They don't care about any of that. Where other carriers won't take your Challengers and your Zingscos. They won't take a water heater over 15 years of age. So there's a lot of limitations right now.
Yeah, that the water heater, that's new in the last year, I think, maybe less.
It's been a few years. Yeah.
Oh, it has.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess everybody's just been going through symptoms.
You're seeing more and more water heaters that are 20 years plus because everyone is, you know, they're like, it works.
Yeah.
You know, there's no issues with it. But yeah, it is causing an issue with some homeowners.
I wonder what happened and why they're like all of a sudden, you know, want to put a restriction on that.
They're saying that water heaters over 15 years of age can break, can cause fires.
Oh.
So it's becoming a liability issue.
So now that we're on the topic of water heaters, how do they feel about the tankless?
Those are great. There is no age limit on a tankless.
Okay.
So the carriers that require the water heater to be less than 15 will take a tankless any age.
I don't know how old and when tankless actually came out, but I feel like they have they're more safe because they're not going to leak. I would think, you know, there's not this big tank of water sitting anywhere, you know?
Yep.
So, okay, well, that's good. That's good to know. Another thing, solar panels.
Yes.
Let's talk about those.
Not all carriers will accept solar panels. So I've seen in the past couple of years where the homeowner is getting the solar panels and not notifying their insurance agent. And when the insurance carrier does a home inspection, a drive-by basically, and they see the solar panels, they're now getting a cancellation notice.
Okay.
Now, some carriers will cover the solar panels, but they will not cover damage from the solar panels. Sorry.
Somebody wants some attention.
Yep, they want to talk.
Yes. I'm sorry. I work from home and I shut my door and my cat.
Oh, that's okay. We both have, you know, animals or whatever going on. That's why we do it this way. So, you know, you don't have to, you know, leave or wherever. So,
so solar panels, you know, they can cause issues. If a hurricane comes through and rips the solar panel off the roof, if the carrier is not willing to insure the solar panels, then the damage from the solar panels will not be covered. So if your solar panels ripped off, so I make sure that if I have a client with solar panels, they're getting put with the carrier that will cover the solar panels.
Yeah, because there's going to be roof damage from the solar panels too, because the solar panels are stuck into your roof. So you probably have missing shingles and God knows what else. So that's good to know. I know that I think I learned that from you, is that you said that not all, you know, insurance carriers are fine with the solar panels, and the older the home, the more limited choices you have for carriers, right?
Yes, like Florida Penn, Ovation, and Edison will not take solar panels, I believe, installed after 2016 or before 2016. Sorry. So
Okay.
if you have a 2001 home that you had solar panels put on in 2002, they're not going to accept you.
Wow. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to you, I learn something new. So have you been getting a lot of calls? And I'm sure that I already know this answer. A lot of calls, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns about the recent, floods and hurricanes, and then, what's going to happen to people that may not have had insurance before, but now they want it, so on and so forth.
Yes. There's a lot of questions on whether or not Citizens is going to do the hurricane tax. I haven't heard anything about it. There's no mentioning of it yet. But Citizens does have the highest hurricane tax. If there is a catastrophic event in Florida, they can apply a 45% hurricane tax to your policy. And it's 45% of your premium, where other carriers are normally 2%.
That's a huge difference. Like, I mean, that's a huge amount. So, I mean,
can you explain that? Like, what does that mean? Hurricane tax.
So if Milton, if they deemed Milton as a catastrophic enough event for the state of Florida, the carriers can assess the hurricane tax to all the homeowners.
Like as a one-time fee or just on top? Okay.
Yeah, it's a one-time on top.
So it's not part of like their policy continuously. Like it had to have an event occur.
Yes.
So I was thinking that that's how much the insurance premiums were gonna go up, whether you had an event or not. That would have been a lot.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I'm seeing a lot of premiums coming. A lot of renewals are coming down right now
for homeowners.
Yes, I am getting a lot of calls from people that are giving large increases, but majority of my clients right now have all had decreases. I think my largest increase so far is less than $200 for the year.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
That is not bad. And I feel like I see less posts about it now than I did in the last several years about, insurance going up and doubling and just getting crazy. I always tell people, like, you're not stuck with your insurance policy. And I feel like not all agents do this, but you keep up with your policies and when you have a renewal coming. And like when you see a policy that randomly goes up like a crazy amount,
yes,
like you're like, hey, let's look at some other options here.
Absolutely. I'm for the insured. I'm not for the carrier.
Yeah.
The more money I could put back into the insured's pocket, the happier I am.
Yeah, and your clients aren't going to leave you. And thankfully, you have how many carriers do you work with? Because you're an insurance, you're a broker, so you're not just Citizens, you're not just whatever, like a Progressive or one of those types of insurance companies.
Yeah, we're 15 plus right now and growing.
Okay.
So we're getting appointed pretty much every week with a new carrier right now.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's really good to hear because I know that, what was it, 2 years ago? However many years ago, we had a lot of carriers pull out of Florida in general. So we had limited. And I know a lot came back and are still coming back, right?
Yes, there are new carriers coming into the state.
Okay, that's good. That's really, the more competition we have, the better the pricing is going to be for people because you have more options.
Absolutely.
Right. I just had a question. Like, what do you think the most misconception would be as far as the public end insurance and the reality of the things that they'd get opposed to what people think?
So during Helene, one of the things that happened during Helene is a lot of people made comments on Facebook telling homeowners to call their home carrier and say that they had water intrusion.
Oh, okay. I saw that.
And unfortunately, a lot of people did do that and they're getting declined. So that adds to the decline ratio from, the carriers, because most home carriers do not cover flood, especially when you're in a flood zone.
Right.
Mhm.
And, so you're seeing all these stories about all of these carriers are declining so many claims right now. A lot of them actually have to do with flood, and they're not covered on their home policy.
A flood policy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the funny thing is these insurance companies, they know what's going on.
Correct.
Like, oh, it has nothing to do with this hurricane that just flooded the entire West Coast. Called water intrusion randomly.
Yeah.
And you just happen to live on the Gulf. So like let's talk about Milton now. So a lot of these homes that may or may not have been in a flood zone, they flooded with Milton because of the rivers.
Yes.
Would that be considered water intrusion?
No, that's still flood. Anything
That's
rising from ground up. Yep.
So at a flood policy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a flood policy, like if you're not in a flood zone, are a lot less expensive than being in a flood zone. So they'd be pretty affordable and would cover that example of something that would take place.
Correct.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
It is more
no
affordable.
matter, no matter how cheap it is, just in case type of thing. Oh, my house won't flood, but you'll never think the houses in Trinity were going to flood. There had no reason to. Well,
yep,
it did.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, after Hurricane Ian, the Senate stepped in and is forcing anyone with citizens to get flood, even those in the non-flood zone.
Mm-hmm.
And those in the non-flood zone are going by their dwelling value. So this year, any home between 500 and 600,000 has to have flood by renewal. Next year is 400,000 to 500,000, and 400,000 and under is 2027.
What are these flood policies looking like for these houses? Are they reasonable? How do they factor that number? Is it based on the value, or?
It's based on the size of the home and the location.
Okay.
So like I just did a flood policy yesterday, and his premium was $405 for the year. But he's in a non-flood zone.
Yeah.
He's in an X zone. So, and he's a citizen, so he had to get flood insurance.
Right.
So
that's good though.
$4 a month. Yes, it's an added expense, but
and every area is going to rate differently.
Sure. I was just giving an idea, like it's not that expensive to protect yourself, even if you're not in a flood zone, because things happen, as we've recently seen, quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
So what about the people who had water coming in through like their stucco or through their foundation?
Floors,
because we saw a lot of that too, where it just came through because maybe they had a crack that they didn't know about. And it was just such heavy rain. I think it was with Milton too, because it was just such heavy rain, and maybe they didn't have gutters or something. So the water was just sitting there surrounding their house. Is that considered water intrusion, or?
No, any rising water ground up. So basically a good example is I have a fire hydrant in front of my house. If someone hits my fire hydrant at night and no one notices it, and it runs all night and floods my house, that's flood. Anything from ground up is flood, whether it's from a fire hydrant, rain, a lake, anything.
How do you get water intrusion then?
Basically, so if a hurricane comes through and damages your roof, and wind-driven rain gets into your home and floods your home, that is under hurricane, not flood, because it's wind-driven.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it has to come from up.
Or you had like and again, correct me if I'm wrong, like if you had like a busted pipe in your laundry room or something like that under the sink, would that be considered flood, or
that would be water damage?
Water through your homeowners.
Correct.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which a lot of people don't realize on their homeowners talking about water damage is a lot of carriers limit your water damage to 10,000.
Yeah.
Especially when you start getting into the older homes.
Which is crazy because that gets eaten up really quick if you have a pipe burst. And I know that I had a friend who that happened in their bathroom. I think it was their bathroom, and their whole bathroom had to be redone, all the floors in their master bedroom. Like it ruined all of that stuff.
It goes under the floors, it goes under the walls into other rooms, and it's
absolutely
terrible.
And, depending on, what you have and how large, what if you had like natural wood floors? Like that's
not covering it. You have tile now. I'm just kidding.
I mean, that's still expensive too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's expensive.
Wow. So you offer, go ahead, Lindsay.
Nope.
No. You offer insurance on businesses as well, not just homes, right?
Yes, we do offer general liability. We actually do new build construction policies.
Okay.
Like the builder's risk policies?
Yep.
Okay.
That's good to know. I feel like not everybody does that.
They don't.
I think
I had a client just recently told me that he was told that he could not get a policy on a new build because he was acting as his own GC, but I was able to do it.
He was told by somebody. They couldn't do it.
Well, the funny part is that a lot of the GCs are actually taking it on their own because they're having so many problems with the people that are building the house, not able to get their own policy.
Yeah.
It's not like a crazy expensive policy. I think it's less expensive if you have that blanket policy for the builder and to figure out and negotiate within your contract to have that paid on their behalf, but it would be able to be on that contractor's policy. And that's the way that we've actually leaned to do because buyers were having problems getting their own builder's risk policy for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think we had a client like last year that was having trouble, I believe, finding somebody that was able to write that policy. I don't remember where he ended up finding one. But I mean, I'm glad that I know now that you do that.
We went backwards and looked for whoever the transaction before was able to utilize because he couldn't find somebody to write his own policy. So then we started obviously going only to that person to get them, which then they started to become more expensive.
Well, now we have somebody else.
Yep.
Now we have somebody else that's probably more affordable.
Right? So
yeah.
back to like our believe it or not, and don't kill the messenger, so to speak, but yes, we're getting ready to go into February, and before we know it, because February and these upcoming months will fly by, and before we know it, we're going to be in hurricane season again. Don't punch me, Kayla.
Absolutely.
Is there any?
We have insurance.
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine having to go through all that again. But is there any advice that you would give in order to essentially prepare their policy right now for anything that could potentially take place during that period of time, like with their hurricane policy, with their wind policy, flood, anything like that? As far as coverages, what advice would you give to anybody that is considering changing their policy to prepare for the hurricane season?
It is always good to do a review. I've seen policies come through recently and the insured doesn't even realize they have no personal property replacement value. Everything's done at actual cash value. They were never advised of that. some don't even realize that the agent put their hurricane deductible at 5%. So they're looking at, sometimes a $25,000, $30,000 deductible when it comes to hurricane, depending on the value of their home. So it's always good just to review. I do free reviews for all clients, even those that are not mine. If they want to call me and go through, I will be more than happy to go line by line with them and explain all their coverages to them to make sure that they're sitting where they want to be sitting.
I think that's great. One thing that Kayla and we really try to do, for example, is we know that the tax bill is going to go up when it's reevaluated like later on. So we try to prepare the client like, yeah, this is what our taxes are now for whatever reason, but in the future, this is what they're expected to be. So it kind of triggered something that sometimes when we're getting these insurance quotes, and I'll be guilty for a moment. Sometimes we get these policies. I'm like, this policy is not anything what we were expected. We're at the end of the transaction. We're trying to hurry things up. We talk to the insurance agent. The buyer is aware of all this. This isn't like a kept secret, but we're, changing the policy to change the premium for one purpose or another, whether it be a less of a monthly payment, or they weren't expecting that premium. We don't have enough time to shop multiple places. And then they forget that we've done this at the end of their transaction, and they have this policy for a year, and then something happens and they don't have as much coverage as they thought that they were getting. So I agree. It is very important to make sure that you go over your policies with your insurance agent, or to take the time to shop around a little bit, because
absolutely,
we have that 30-day period from contract to the end. Might not be enough time. You're working full time. You're trying to buy a house. You're packing your stuff. You're moving. Like, time is not on our
all
side.
The documents in to the lender.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I make myself available till 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, I don't.
Those that work a 9-to-5 job,
sure,
you call me at 7 o'clock in the evening, and we can review and shop their policy.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the best time. And I jokingly said that I'm not, if I had to be available at 11, okay, fine, maybe once. But I do try to make myself available after hours, because they can't be talking to me during the day while they're working, or, so I am available into the evenings. 11's pushing it, Kim. I will say that.
I found policies at 1:30 before, so.
Yeah, I've seen, and you're guilty of it too. I get some crazy hour emails from both of you.
Yes.
And I'm like,
what are you doing? It's my best time. Nobody's interrupted.
I know. I'm like, it's like 2 a.m. and I'm like, sleep? Are you okay? Like, can we get you anything? Hey. It is nice because nobody's calling you at that time, so you can catch up on a lot of things. So I do get it.
Focus. I'm like calculating income, and like I can deep dive into what I'm working on without an email popping or a text message, or I have 3 children walking through the door. Yeah, dogs bark, anything. So it's when I do my best work, because in the middle of the night, I try not to do it anymore.
That's when you can focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bittersweet. So.
Yeah, I agree. I know that there's, not to stay on this topic of flood or anything, but it's just,
it's important.
It's a big thing now. And I know that a lot of people don't understand their policy, especially people that are in 2 stories and they have a garage underneath their living area. There's a lot of people complaining, my flood insurance doesn't cover anything, and I don't even know why I have it. Blah, blah, blah. What is the importance of having flood insurance when you are in a 2-story elevated home? Yes, if you have furniture or like your lawnmower or whatever in your garage, no, it's not covered, unfortunately. Or if you have an illegal dwelling area down there that's not up to code, like that's not covered. What is the importance of having that flood policy? Like, what does it cover in the event that there is some sort of catastrophic flood? You know, what would somebody, you know, be able to claim on their insurance and actually get coverage for in that event?
Unfortunately, when you're living in an elevated home and you enclose that first level is not insured.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in Lake in the Woods and Spring Hill, there's a lot of houses in that community that have sunken living rooms that go below grade. That is not insured.
Mm.
If it's, you know, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that flood policy come into play? Like, I guess if that flood, like pushes a wall and knocks like an exterior wall in, or garage doors or anything, like does that cover it, or would that be under like the hurricane policy?
Anything from flood would be under flood, except for, like,
Okay.
you know, again, with the elevated homes, if you enclose that first level, you're still not insured for that first level.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I know that when you enclose it, it's not covered 100%, but if
Right.
it's just a normal garage and you have like a breakaway wall that broke away, you know?
If it's from flood water, it would still be under flood.
Okay.
Mm.
Interesting.
Now, if a
Yeah,
car drove into your garage, that's a different story.
yeah. Yeah, no, I had a lot of friends, maybe not a lot of friends, but I've had a couple that had added the downstairs as a living area, and I think sometimes they forgot that that would not be covered if something happened, and they were not covered. Eh, that's a tough reminder.
It is.
But
Mhm.
it's the
Well,
risk. That's the risk when you're on the water, though, you know, and either
anywhere,
way,
really.
yeah,
Makes sense.
anywhere now, I guess now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I
Right.
think that is our time. Thank you very much, Kim.
You're
You were
welcome.
a plethora of information, and I've seen your name across my desk many times, and I know that they've had nothing but good things to say about you and the way that you take care of your clients. So thank you for that.
You're
And
welcome.
we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you. You
Thanks.
too.
Bye.
Bye.